The stuff you hate to do the most is probably what'll give you the best results. Watch this.
Our next caller is Keith from California.
Hey, Keith, what's up, man? Nice to finally meet you. How you doing?
We're not answering any of these questions. He's too fit.
So, I don't know if you saw, you probably saw my letter, but so basically I've had the RGB bundle since it was released in 2016. And, I've gone through it maybe 5-6 times. And my question really is, I've done performance. It's not my favorite, but I do it just because it's there. And I did it this last time, and I noticed a big strength increase, which I've never really noticed before. So I was just curious why that might be. It's like a 10 to 20 pound increase from anabolic phase 1 to aesthetic phase 1. So I was just curious why that might have happened.
My guess would be, because you are, for the audience, you're a very, very experienced, consistent lifter. And you just gave us all some insight that it's not something that you would normally do. A lot of lifts inside performance are unconventional and different. Aesthetic and anabolic are pretty traditional as far as their movements. And so a lot of that was probably very familiar. And I don't know if this is like your second time doing performance or not, but maybe this time around you got after it after movements that you probably don't train very often. And that's the novelty, especially for somebody like you, who's been training as long as you have. I mean, this is what I see whenever I do. That's why I loved, like, for example, Map Strong. When we first wrote that program was so unique to how I train that some of the best gains in both strength and my body that I saw was going through that, even though it's not my style of how I would like to lift normally. But for guys like us that have been doing it consistent for such a long time, it speaks to that novelty and why that's so important.
Especially if it was so new going into it the first time. And if you're running it again, your body being able to now recognize those movements and being a little more proficient in those movements, being able to add weight to those now and load it, that makes a lot of sense that you would see a lot of progress in that direction if the other ones you were typically more inclined to do with anabolic and with aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a lot of different reasons for this, right? Could be your diet was different, you got more sleep, but it's likely that the movements and the programming and performance is exactly what your body needed. Mm-hmm. And that's why you saw those strength gains. It was just something that you needed, and the way it's written in the exercises that are in there is, for, again, like to Adam's point, you train a particular way, probably more often than not, and so you introduce something that's different and just happened to be the right program for your body. And I've experienced that myself. So
yeah, because like when I've done it in the past, I kind of half-heartedly did it. This time I was a little more focused, as I guess, because it wasn't as, I don't know, I was dreading it the last 2 times I've done it. And this time it wasn't so bad for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, it works, man. It
that's
works.
Yeah, it did work. It helped with a lot. My hips feel better. My thoracic area is better. Still working on my overhead mobility, is that injury I had years ago. But what do you expect for my age and all?
Well, I think you're doing great, and you look great, and that would be my guess is that you and I think all of us, everybody in this room, is guilty of gravitating to a similar way of training because it's what we all enjoy, and I think there is some value to that, right? Because it's what keeps us consistent. We train the way we like to train. That's what keeps me coming to the gym. But every now and then, I know how important it is that I interrupt that. I interrupt MAPS Aesthetic. I interrupt those programs that I like to go back to all the time with something like, I don't like performance either. So I totally identify with you. So that's not my style at all.
Yeah.
And I do it begrudgingly, but I also know that how important it is, especially as I age and as long as I've been lifting.
You know what the irony is? If there was a MAPS program that someone could do indefinitely and never have to switch out, it'd be MAPS Performance.
Yeah.
It's the most complete in that sense. So everybody likes the bodybuilding stuff, but if you don't do that kind of a workout,
everybody.
You're going to build muscle and you're going to get stronger. Yeah, Justin. Yeah. Justin raises his hand.
Yeah, that's my best guess, Keith. I think.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, but I was just curious, and I was just surprised that I submitted the question, and 4 days later, here I am. So I was just surprised. I was shocked that I was selected that quickly.
Well, it's good to talk to you. I know we see you in the forum all the time, so thanks for calling in, man.
Hey, sure, thanks.
You got it.
Right on, Keith.
Right on.
Oh boy, the answers that you want are usually in the place you don't want to look. right? So it's like that's
Isn't that the case?
always the case.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, you hit the nail on the head, Adam.
Yeah.
It's super common for all of us to do that.
Yeah.
But he's like, why did I get stronger? It's because it's stuff that you need
Well,
to
they
do.
say that because too, I'm on the other end of that spectrum. Like, I don't like doing all of the supersetting and the hypertrophy work. Like that to me is I begrudgingly do it.
Yeah.
But I know that I have to check my ego out and I have to seek what I know my body will benefit from the most. And that's a hard thing to do mentally, but it's the best thing you can do.
Listen, I've been training for a long time, and I've trained a lot of coaches and trainers underneath me, and I have yet to meet one, okay, that doesn't do this. We all do. It's just natural. You're
Nobody loves all training equally.
Yeah, and does it with
And you like to do what you're good at.
and does it with the perfect balance. Who do you know trains unconventionally, mobility focus, flexibility focus, strength focus, explosive focus? Like nobody. I have yet to meet a person who is perfectly balanced and all that. We all tend to gravitate towards modalities that we love and enjoy, which I wouldn't tell someone don't do that, because if that's what keeps you consistent, I think there's some value to that too. But it's also becoming aware of your habits and then understanding which types of modalities and their detriments.
Yes.
And and I can totally identify with him because he gravitates towards the stuff I love, anabolic and split and aesthetic, all the bodybuilder type focus stuff. He's very much so into keeping a great physique. He looks phenomenal. What I neglect is multi-planar movements, unconventional training, all the performance type stuff.
If somebody went through every MAPS program one after another, they would achieve that balance. In fact, that'd be a good MAPS challenge. Is if you have every program, start with one and run through every single one and see where you're at the end of it. I bet your results would be
Yeah, I would
be
love to
mind-blowing.
see that end result.